Happy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Olivia Lagrange.
Yeah, Lagrange.
Is that French?
Yep.
Lagrange.
It is.
Really?
It is.
Where does Lagrange come from? Like that pronunciation?
It's, I think it means the farmer, actually.
But the people that say Lagrange instead of Lagrange.
Is Afrikaans people.
Do you know why?
Because they can't say Lagrange.
Hectic. Olivia, I'm
Yeah.
happy to have you. We've been having chats and I thought it would be an interesting experience for us to talk politics in front of cameras and to see if maybe the conversation is slightly more organized and more politically correct.
And we're not fighting.
And we're not fighting because I'm tired of blocking you on Twitter.
I think
getting
I've blocked
boring.
you twice.
And unblocked.
Yes.
Jeez, thank you.
And even
I
begged
appreciate
somebody
that.
to help you, to let you unblock me. So
Let's just kick it off. You have a weird love for South Africa and for Joburg. Why?
I don't know. I actually don't know. Very good question. Do you know why you're passionate about something? You're just passionate about things. Just happens that way.
Is it maybe growing up in this country, maybe at a certain time where things look like they were working and now it looks like things are not? So you're like, no, man, this can't be right. Do you think it's something like that or it might be something else?
That is possibly true. I mean, what did I do now?
No, nothing wrong.
If I think back 94, how excited I was. And I think maybe, I don't know, our ages are close to each other. It maybe has something to do with the dream we have for our country.
Yeah.
There was a time, I don't know if it happened to you, where I had a choice to leave or not. And I decided to stay, which was about 15 years ago. And obviously many things have changed, but doesn't mean that dreams just die, So
Why were you excited in 94? Whereas other people were petrified?
I don't know. I thought it was amazing because Apartheid was shit. So it's just probably something I shouldn't say on air, but it was really, really shit. So for me, it was a wonderful day. I remember sitting on the roof. We used to stay quite close to the union buildings, close to Loftus. And I sat on the roof of our house, kind of screaming at the aeroplanes and But I know at the same time people were like stocking up on food and things like that. So
Like COVID?
yeah.
Do you think you are
Quite
normal?
entertaining.
Or do you think you were deviant from everyone around
Oh,
you?
I'm definitely deviant.
Yeah.
Definitely deviant.
Okay. Do you not think we need apartheid to come back? Do you not think things were working during apartheid, or at least some of them?
I know why apartheid was created, and there was a logic behind it.
Can you explain that if you don't mind?
Good question. But I align quite a lot with how Moletia Beck explains it,
Okay.
where we are puppets, really, of mining conglomerates because we've got minerals. It's very simple. So, sorry, just a sec. I'm still a little bit nervous, but it's getting better.
No, give it time. Give it 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So I never knew that. I just knew at the time, being young, that it was wrong and everything was wrong. But, you don't know why, what is happening. And so now that I'm older and I know how everything works, and it's all just about money. Mleti explains it well in that it's just that basically the puppets have changed, but the puppeteers are still the same.
Sure.
But we're human beings, and some people do like to segregate. And if we mention Orania, I don't have an issue with Orania. Do I want to live there? No. I never want to live in a place where everybody looks exactly the same. I prefer being in a place where people are different and it's more vibrant, as opposed to a homogenous environment.
Sure.
But I think it's wonderful that we do have the variety. And I think it's good that places like Irani exist. I think that something similar should happen in KZN. There should be a proper Zulu village, and for every culture. But for me personally, it's not a place that I want to live in.
Why do you think the apartheid government set up the policies they set up? You said you think there was some logic to it. I don't know if you can try and explain.
Look, it's all about control.
Yeah.
So what is the easiest way to control people? It's like creating a little concentration camp or a little army. And there's very strict rules, and people are kept in a certain area, and after a certain hour, they must go back to that area.
Sure.
And it worked for a while, but the human spirit can't be broken. And you can't control people like that. It's happened through all the years. You can try to a point, and I think for me, being a divergent type of person, I remember one of my bosses said to me, the reason why he employed me is because I'm naturally insubordinate. But I am naturally insubordinate, and many people are. You unfortunately can't force people into boxes. Some are fine, they'll get into the box, but others just won't. And I'm glad that happened. And I'm actually okay with the idea how South Africa is today.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the fact that people immigrated, because those are the weak ones, in my view.
That's not nice.
No, I'm sorry to say that, but there's a friend of mine that this is not a very sensitive subject, but he's from the Western Cape.
Yeah.
And his uncle said, "Oh, all the rich people have moved here." And he said to his uncle, "No, all the scared ones."
Yeah, that is true.
So for me, there's something that many of us chose in 1994, which we aspire our country to be. And that dream hasn't died, although the ANC have failed our people for the simple reason that you have greed, which is a human thing. But it's not the end of the world. Everything won't fall apart, but it does take for us to choose to change our attitudes. And many people are extremely negative. But we're at the perfect point. I don't think we'll be lower than we could be right now.
Are you serious?
I think we are at the lowest point.
You don't think our water's going to chuck? Load shedding might come back?
No,
Unemployment will go up?
those are huge problems. The biggest one is definitely water. Yeah, water is a huge problem. We are quite far behind. Rand Water is about 10 years behind
This
on
is
upgrades.
maintenance.
Yeah, and upgrades. So a lot of the bulk water supply needs to be basically repiped. There's quite a lot that needs to be done. So we at a point where possibly Gauteng could collapse. And if that happens, the country collapses.
So it can get lower.
Yes, it can.
Do you think it's going to?
I don't think it will. Because there's enough people, even those who are greedy and in comfortable places, who know where we are at. It's not like it's a secret.
Do you really believe that? Thabo Mbeki is deemed one of the smartest leaders we've had. A lot of people are huge fans of his. During his tenure, they tried to sell Eskom and they failed. And in that time, they didn't budget well enough and they didn't maintain well enough and they didn't build power stations, and hence 16, 17 years of load shedding. So many people that speak about his term speak about Black professionals who knew what they were doing, good bureaucrats that had studied, but that still happened. So when you say there's people that understand where we are, I don't have belief, because even if they might know, I don't know if they actively doing anything to fix it.
No, you've got a good point. I think the reality is that there's no more money, as you know. So the luxury is not there anymore. And this is now my view on it. Economically, we need money. We need investment. We need foreign investment. We haven't really benefited from BRICS, I think, the way that India and Brazil have. They've seen massive growth over the last few years since the formation of BRICS, let's say from 2010.
Yeah.
Their economies have boosted. But we have so much bureaucratic red tape that it's just not attractive to invest in South Africa. Power is one thing, but the biggest problem is not power, is policy issues, policy uncertainty. There's many, many aspects that's keeping people from investing. And ironically, if you had to remove that, we would be a very attractive investment destination. And on top of that, our mineral wealth is next to none. But it will take to bring politicians to their knees, unfortunately, the corrupt ones. And the country is not angry enough. But the country is poor enough. For me, the sad part where it seems where we are now is that politicians are taking money from dodgy countries. Let's just put it like that. Or whatever's going on, but there is money coming in, but not from the right places. And whether our country has been sold to the highest bidder, I'm sure that's true, but it doesn't mean we as citizens have to lie on our backs and accept it.
What would be a dodgy country and what would be the right countries to get money from?
That is a tough one. That is a very tough one.
Are you scared to say dodgy countries? Must I give examples?
Yeah, let's. Gooi.
Russia, Iran?
Oh,
sorry.
I think Russia's.
Potentially Israel?
Any of those are fine. I think China's dangerous. I think Iran is dangerous. I think Russia is fine.
Israel is not dangerous.
No, Israel's not dangerous.
There's people that claim that Israel is committing a genocide on Palestine. So you'd want money from Netanyahu and those guys? Those would be the right type of investors?
Investment and that type of politics, I don't like mixing. I think the tough thing is if you are bound by other things from that country. To me, it does seem as if there was money taken from Iran. Whatever the facts are, I don't know. But there's too many things happening that's concerning. What bothers me the most is that you hear many of our government officials say that we are still a sovereign country, but it doesn't seem that way. Just moving your paymaster from the west to the east is still the same thing. I think we would be better off playing both sides.
Why would Iran be not great, but Israel is better from an investment perspective?
Not one or the other.
Sure.
But there is great concern that, and I won't mention where I heard this from, but there is great concern that we would turn into an Islamic state, which is something that was said to me about 6 months ago by somebody in the US government.
What's wrong with us becoming an Islamic state?
Would you like to live in an Islamic state?
Maybe not. I don't know. I was forced into a Christian state, so I don't know any different.
As a female, I would definitely not want to live in an Islamic state.
Okay.
I would leave this country if that had to happen.
You feel like women in Islamic states are oppressed?
Oh, extremely. Extremely.
Okay. That's the only concern, that maybe Islamic laws look oppressive from a Christian perspective?
No, they are for females, not for males. Men enjoy living in Islamic states. Not all, but in general, it's easy for a man, not for a woman. And especially not for a woman like me.
Do you think Muslim women in this country are oppressed?
No, definitely not. But they don't live under Sharia law.
Do they not in the way they...
Some of them do in their households.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of South Africa, is we have the freedom. If we had to become an Islamic state, we would not have the freedom. I would not have the option to choose. You
don't think there's Hindus and Christians in Muslim countries?
There are. I've been to some Muslim countries and...
That live freely in their own... As long as you're following Christian law and Hindu law, because I think one of the biggest issues they have is liberalism, wokeness, the LGBTQI plus community,
Oh, it's a fair
people
point.
wanting to dress however they want. I think those are the things they're sort of against more than anything. But I think you can have your religion as long as you behave according to what they deem morality.
Yeah, I hear what you say, but from the Muslim countries that I've visited, apologies.
No problem.
Many years ago, I was in Kuala Lumpur, and that could be considered quite a forward-thinking Muslim country.
Yeah.
But as a woman, it's still a very unpleasant place to be. I remember walking around, and although it's allowed as a tourist, it's just not comfortable. And for me, South Africa, the way it is now is not the way that everybody's living, because we've got extreme poverty. But our laws are perfect. Why would we want to change it and live under Islamic law?
You think freedom is a good thing?
Yes.
Do you not think it's because of freedom that we're here now?
No. I think it's because we are a young democracy, and corruption is rife in young democracies.
When people run a household, specifically parents that care about their children, they limit a lot of their freedoms. The way the girls dress, what time you come home or can go out, drinking alcohol and those kind of things. And for many people, they say, those type of values, traditionalist, so conservative values, Charlie Kirk values are good, and they build a strong family, strong community, strong nation. And I think Islamic countries are big on that. Orthodox Christian-leaning countries used to have that as well. Do you not think that's a better model than just allowing your children or a nation freedom? Because we've got alcohol abuse, drug abuse, gambling addictions today.
I hear what you're saying, but we don't need Islamic law to regulate that. If you think of countries that have regulated cigarette and alcohol advertisements, I think we definitely could have that in place. At the moment, we've got a scourge of gambling and gambling ads all over the place, and we obviously know who are the people making money from gambling. That should rather be regulated than regulating the freedom. If you look at Botswana, it's not an Islamic country, but it's a very disciplined country, and people grow up properly, disciplined.
You believe the West, outside of, let's say, China and some of the Middle Eastern countries, you think their models are the ones South Africa should use to model itself against? I'm going back to what you're saying about foreign direct investment, saying that, look, people will give you money, but then they have terms, and the terms might be behave like us.
A very good point.
And you're saying you'd rather we behave like the West than...
Definitely not. Definitely not. I think personally, when it comes to foreign direct investment and us, it's ironic that we are placed exactly between West and East, obviously on the bottom. If you turn the map, it looks better.
We're definitely at
with
the top.
Africa at the top. But it is ironic that geopolitically and in so many places we're in the center. I find it interesting that even in South Africa, you'll see in the Western Cape is a lot more pro-West, where the other side of the country, on the eastern side, is more pro-East. I do not see why we must bend to anybody.
Okay.
If we say we are a sovereign state, then be a sovereign state. Don't pander to anybody. There's countries that want to do business with us, like Japan, some European countries that are keen to invest, but we have many policy and regulatory barriers. We can make it a lot more interesting, and we don't have to look to China and America. There's many countries in the world, and the world's economy is big.
By saying regulatory issues, you're speaking BEE or something else?
BEE is definitely a problem.
Okay. Anything else, or is it just BEE?
There's a few others. Unions are an issue.
Okay. Labor laws.
Yeah, the issue of... I know there's a big talk, and this is also a very sensitive subject probably, around minimum wage. I personally am a supporter of minimum wage, but I know that many, let's say, economists or business people says that it stops growth. I do think what's currently happening is the reason why people are employing illegal immigrants is because their business model is developed around the idea of paying less than minimum wage, which, yes, you are creating jobs. Yes, it's a tricky one. But I'm going down a rabbit hole. But I think either way, unions do have too much power in some cases. And when you're in a situation that we are with the biggest unemployment, the last thing you want to do is stop investment. Rather regulate the actual way that the investment happens. But if it is a union or if it's BE, whatever the barrier is, try and move it out of the way without abusing people. And unions, to me, don't necessarily protect their members as much as they say they do.
During apartheid and under British rule, the Union of South Africa, we didn't have these things. And that's where the exploitation of black labor happened. The unions are not a unique solution. It is because of what happened historically. So the fear is that if you remove them, we immediately go back. And to what you're saying, this is exactly why many businesses employ undocumented foreigners, because they can exploit them. It's almost like, but we can already see what happens if you remove the unions. We can see it right now. Is that not a concern?
Shouldn't the unions be regulated differently?
I don't know. Is there a middle ground between unions and exploited labor? Is anyone doing it right in this country?
It's a tough one. I don't have an answer.
So labor laws is part of the problem. I think you're not the first person to raise this. The issue might be sometimes labor is too expensive in this country. And then number two, it's difficult to get rid of problematic employees is another concern for people. The second one is BEE. What part of BEE do you think is problematic for people to come and invest here?
So
Starlink.
Big parts of BE. No, I think Starlink to me is unimportant in this conversation. Our big gap currently in the economy is manufacturing. The fact that our manufacturing is at the level that it is, we've got even apartheid here, beautiful factory buildings built in the 50s that's standing empty. And I think of some that I've personally been into. That is just sad. Considering we have mineral wealth, we have manpower. And to develop our manufacturing sector, we don't necessarily just want to get a Starlink or a BMW in, but there's small manufacturers, SMMEs in Europe that have shown interest. But if you've got a business, let's say there's a factory with 50 employees in Belgium, and you're thinking of opening up a branch in South Africa, but your business model is of such that you can't afford to give such a big part away. It's just not sustainable. It's too big of a risk, especially with all the other things happening. Power, infrastructure instability, crime, all of those things. It's just not appealing. And that's why people have invested in Brazil and India. I mean, India's economy has grown massively. They still have poverty, but crime is reduced. One of my clients have recently been to India, and he says Calcutta is, even in the slums, you can walk there. Yes, it's dirty and there's poverty, but it's safe. People are happy, generally happy. Modi has really turned that country around. What our answer is, I don't know, but for me, BE is a very touchy subject for many people, and I've mentioned this on Twitter a few times, and I get many attacks. But it's a barrier. It's a barrier for smaller overseas companies to invest. And I think there's other ways of doing it. BE does not address poverty. It addresses giving opportunities to connected people.
Do you think if the opportunities were going to people on the ground, it would be better?
Yes.
Would you still be fine with giving away a piece of your company?
I think it would. Look, and I must be careful what I mention, but one of the recent policies by one of my favorite political parties that's been put forward, which I really support, is incentivizing instead of basically, what would you say? Making it a curse, make it a blessing. So if you employ a person that's living in poverty and you upskilling them, you get a tax incentive, or there's some sort of incentive for you to make that move. So you would then want to employ somebody that has no skills and give them an opportunity, as opposed to having a random person. I know my father was telling me a story of a businessman in Pretoria. He had a big paint business. So I think they've got a factory and they were mixing paint. And the business grew to a point where they were forced to be BE. And the BE partners were introduced to them, the proposed BE partners. And the first thing the guy said in his meeting was, what car am I getting? Not what is the job about? And that is the issue, is if you have that type of thing, and what happens in the other side, because you've got these BE individuals having shares in businesses, and on the other side you have young entrepreneurs in South Africa, Black entrepreneurs, who are not getting those opportunities. They could do amazing things if they had, but they're not in the right place. They don't know how to get these connections. They're trying to hustle. And I think there's other ways of doing things. There could be mentorship programs where you combine a business with a young entrepreneur, grow the business together. I know there were even farmers that were looking at that. Give your farm workers a piece of the land, they farm it and then sell the produce to you. But it's incentive-based. It's not forced. And yeah.
The problem when something's not forced is that people won't do it. So you can come and bring your German business here and bring German employees, but we don't get anything, and you just take from our resources and maybe our consumers, and then you leave. You're not forced to do skills transfer. You're not forced to invest in the community, which is also under BEE. You're not giving any piece of ownership to people. So the issue could be the right people, but... That's the problem.
Do you think BE is working the way it is now?
I think all of us know it's not, at least at the highest levels of the pillars. The problem is whoever counters BEE is not giving a fair alternative that looks like it can protect what is meant to be protected. And that's the biggest issue. So your maybe DA Action SA that want BEE scrapped, if you ask them for the alternative, some of them speak about free market, and we've got examples of that, and we see what happens, and it's not for the benefit of the people. But yes, we can see the implementation of BE is also not for the benefit. But the question is, if not a law, then what?
Do you think there's a country that's successfully uplifted their people in a different way than free market capitalism?
I'm not smart enough to answer that, but I can say this. You spoke about your favorite party. I don't know if you want to mention the name.
Yeah, it's Action SA.
Action SA. Okay. Yeah, because I know Herman doesn't like BE.
Yeah. And everybody on Twitter is very aware of the fact that I like Action SA.
Dope.
Yeah. No,
So the biggest problem you have, whether you get foreign direct investment or companies or whatever you want to bring here, is if your population's not ready, not smart, not skilled to take advantage of the opportunities to build, to whatever the case may be. China, I don't think, and maybe Russia as well, I don't think are big on free market within the country. I think they play it at a global level. And their
they
focus,
are capitalists internationally, but not locally. Yeah.
So I think their focus is more, we need to capacitate our people so that they can compete with everyone else. One of the issues I have with this country that we're told is we're united and we're all one people is We're actually not. And there are groups within
No,
this
we're not.
country that are trying to milk from others.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to uplift everyone.
Yes.
It's me and my community of maybe black people or white people or Indian people. We just want to be okay on our own. And if we can't compete globally, at least we compete here and we don't mind that other people are poor. And that becomes a problem for me. But in terms of answering the question of a country without free markets, I don't think I'm smart enough to know all the countries to say that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a big... Look, I haven't looked in depth into that, but I remember there was a comment that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma made, and I will never forget it because it didn't make sense to me. I think it was during COVID. No, it wasn't during. It was before COVID. She said something to the tone of, if they're not careful, we'll build factories in townships. And I often think of that and think, who is she talking about and what is she actually saying? And I think of like my work at the moment. I work in retail design, and a lot of my clients have shops in these regional township malls, and they do very well. And it's wonderful that you have these retail nodes everywhere, especially if you're living out in a township. Soshanguve, I think Soshanguve Mall is opening up soon.
It's going to be one of the biggest. It's going to be the biggest mall, that side. Yeah.
Mams, I remember I did some shops there, and it's great to have that because people now don't have to travel all the way into town or wherever to Menlyn, to go and shop.
Sure.
But is that helping them make money? No. It's saving them some travel costs. But in my view, what you really need is you need factories in townships. And there are some. There in Hammanskraal, there's some beautiful old factories that was built, very strongly built in the apartheid days, that is owned by the government. It's not functional. So what are we doing wrong that our factories are not operating? Of course, we've got power issues and all of those things. But I find it strange, and I wonder if there isn't international meddling that's killed our manufacturing sector. But whichever way, we have to revive our manufacturing sector. We can, and I'm not a fan of Minister Schreiber at all, we can get all the tourists from the whole world to come to Cape Town and look at our animals, but our tourism sector won't build the economy. It won't create the type of jobs we need. Manufacturing will. And yeah, I think we're at a time now where, yes, we've built the malls, the townships are there, let's get the factories going. Because unfortunately, because of the last 30 years, we do sit with many people that are not properly educated. But we want them to eat and have a semi-decent life. Working in a factory would give that. How to get there, I don't know. But that's what I see the next step would be. And if we can leverage access to our minerals and combine that wherever the township is, you have the factory, and if the mineral is in that area, even better. And then that brings us to the thing of nationalization of minerals, which I also don't have an option for opinion on. But that's where I think we're at.
You don't have an opinion on nationalization?
I think nationalization of minerals would be great if we had a benevolent dictator. But as it is now, yeah, it's... I don't know. What is your opinion on nationalization?
I'll give you my opinion.
I'd like to know.
You've mentioned apartheid buildings twice, and I want to go back to my initial question. Do you not think apartheid was better for South Africa developing?
I think it was good for what it did. I think it had to end. And again, on the point that, yes, think of Mao. I don't know if you've ever read some stuff about Mao Zedong.
Just a little bit.
He was, even by people that suffered under him, they still praised him. And I mean, people didn't eat. They had really tough lives.
Yeah,
but he
millions
built
were
something
lost in
amazing.
famine.
Yeah.
Millions of lives, were lost in famine.
So I think what had happened then, there's good things that were built, but there's no use in building anything if you destroy the human spirit. If you destroy people for the sake of. And the whole thing around apartheid, I mentioned Mbeki again, but Moletti Mbeki, I didn't even know this. It was interesting when he mentioned this on, I think it's one interview that he had. For South Africa to create wealth, minerals had to be extracted. For that to happen, you need manpower. A lot of manpower at a very low cost, which means you need to oppress people. And many people were oppressed so that stuff could be mined. I often think that's maybe why we have illegal immigrants at the moment, because things are still being mined. They're being mined for somebody.
Correct.
So we just have an illicit army of miners, but doesn't mean it's not organized. But is that, after everything that's happened, after 94, is that the future we want for our people? I don't think so. Having anybody oppressed.
There are people that argue that BEE doesn't need to be removed, but changed, improved upon. Do you not think maybe apartheid just needed to be tweaked? Maybe just allow some talented black people in, allow women in, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Many people that I know would say yes. I personally don't think so, but it's just because I prefer not living in a segregated society. I don't think it's healthy for human beings to live segregated from each other. But that's me. But I do.
Maybe there could have been cosmopolitan communities for people like you
that
want to be diverse, but for everyone else who wants to do their thing.
But do you think the way that South Africa is now, we could ever go back and try and amend to a different thing? I don't think so.
Apartheid spatial planning hasn't been fixed. So most people are still living in segregated areas. We've got Indian communities, colored. The townships are for black. Suburbs are largely for white and some middle-class black. So the spatial planning hasn't changed. So
that's very true.
To ask if you can go back, you wouldn't need to, because we're still there.
I don't know. I really
tweaking
don't know.
apartheid. Do you not think the apartheid government was good at building and creating things?
I do think they definitely had some good things. Look, it's a new thought for me. I've been against the apartheid government since I can remember.
Do you think that was emotions that had you against them?
Obviously.
Okay.
It's very strongly driven by emotions. Definitely. Undoubtedly driven by emotions. But I've never thought differently until recently, when you do look at certain things. But is it worth oppressing people to have nice infrastructure?
Is it possible for your child to improve in maths if you're not forcing them to sit for extra hours, and if they're not listening? Maybe for some parents, give them a little hiding. You're like, this is going to be for your good. You'll see later. We'll oppress you guys now, because no one ever speaks about what would have happened if apartheid kept running for another 50, 100 years. If the economy had really grown, if we had nuclear weapons, which we already did and they remained, if your Sasol, Eskom, Iscor and others kept growing, would there not have been a spillover effect at some point into black areas, number one? And number two, with the Bantustans, some of them were developing nicely. Bophuthatswana, the Transkei, there were universities being built. Not Bantustan, but KwaZulu, for example, had its own bank, its own university. Maybe if you gave it another 50 years, and look, when you speak benevolent dictator, maybe that's what Verwoerd and them were trying to do. And it just so happened that they were white and they were settlers, but they had a vision. It wasn't to put black people first, but maybe they would have benefited in time.
You have a very good point. I do understand from some people that would support that type of a vision, that's how they see it. But on the ground, what was the reality?
People had jobs. It was safe.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I just think that for me personally, and It's actually something that you recently challenged me on. I think we're at a point where we have to start saying, what if we are where we are now? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do with everything we have? And I'm thinking specifically, when I mentioned the factories, there's this absolutely beautiful factory building. It's next to the hospital in Hammanskraal, Soshanguve. No, not Soshanguve, Atteridgeville. Anyway, there's a bunch of factory buildings. And I visited the one factory that was doing weaving for blind people. They did the most amazing stuff. And I was trying to build a business around what I could purchase from them. But the whole thing was just managed badly. And eventually, I think it collapsed about 3 or 5 years ago. We have very few weavers left. We had blind weavers that we could export things from, extremely high quality. But here's this building. After all these years, I think it was built in the 50s. It's just the most stunning building. Everything about it, I don't know if you know anything about passive design.
No. Sorry.
So how passive design works in architecture is, let's say, for example, think of a shack. So here's a piece of metal all over. The sun shines on it, and the poor person inside is dying from the heat.
Sure.
So that's a bad design.
Sure.
It would actually, mud huts is a clever design if you're just looking at a basic structure.
Yeah.
So if you have the same thing with passive design, a lot of these old factories was designed in such a way that the roofs are askew and you've got a window on the side and there's airflow, so the place circulates itself. And there's just a lot of these brilliant things, proper concrete work. So Johannesburg CBD, same thing. The buildings as they are today are amazing. Still have good infrastructure that we can do good things with. But there needs to be a plan. And proper professional things put in place. Sadly, that weaving business, because I went back there a few times, and I was buying these woven dog baskets, really selling stuff, and busy selling them in different places. And every time I go there, the price is different. But there's also no price on, and then one day when I walk in, they quickly take the prices off because now they see I come a lot and all of a sudden the price goes up. So, yeah, there's, if you talk of basic business sense and a business entrepreneurial point of view, that's not good business.
It's free market. Willing buyer, willing seller.
No, probably true. So I just think that going the route of saying, what if this and what if that, and that's the history. I think it's important to be sensitive towards people that suffered what they went through and not say move on, because you don't move on. If you were raped, you don't just move on. That stays with you the rest of your life. And
if your ancestors were being gassed in Germany, no one says just move on.
Yeah. So I think it's disgusting that people say that to people that suffered under apartheid.
That's a lot of white people on Twitter.
Yes.
Oh, the race card, the apartheid card again.
And especially if it's an older person. I, the one day, said something similar. And the one gentleman said to me, this and that happened to them. And it's quite humbling when I was young, 94. I was...
Geez, you want to give your age away?
Yeah, it's fine. I was just in the beginning of high school. And when you hear, there's a lot of stories that I didn't know. And my mom has told me, I think the problem with many white people in South Africa is that they don't really know. They've never been to a township. They don't know the realities. They don't realize there's people that are third generation, fourth generation, living in the same crappy situation that their forefathers did because of the apartheid government. And being far from jobs, there's still a lot of issues. So why am I going down this road? I don't know. But that needs to be respected. But saying, okay, but what if we did it this way? We can't. We have to now decide this is where we are at. What are we going to do? And will mention the same thing, but it doesn't help for white people to call people 30%ers. And then you're talking to a doctor on Twitter and you call him a 30%er because you don't agree with him.
Because he's black.
Because he's black. That does not help nation building. It's not going to take us forward. And I actually think, thanks to the ANC, we've got a bunch of really angry, nasty, mostly white people who's not helping. Many of them hate me because I speak the way I do on Twitter, but that's fine. They're not my audience. They're luckily not the majority.
Do you think you've traveled this country well enough to say you have an idea of what white people are like?
No, so
Or
I
do you
know
not
I'm
know white people?
generalizing. I know many.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm still
no,
asking.
I know many. Yeah. Well, I've been to quite a lot of places.
Do you think you understand white people generally?
Yeah.
Do you think white people generally want nation building and want us to all get along?
I do think majority do, yes.
Okay.
There are definitely many that don't.
But that's a minority.
I think it's a minority, yes.
But they loud.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. You like Action SA. Why do you like Action SA? And do you align with their vision for this country? Do you have a vision for this country?
Yeah, so I definitely align with Action SA. I haven't made it a secret. I met him in Mashaba many years ago and was extremely impressed with him as a human being. He was very kind to me at the time. I was a 19-year-old girl dating a black boy. And
Jeez, that's where this all comes from.
Yeah, who was a model. And I must say, black girls are not nice if you date a black boy.
Everyone is not nice in interracial relationships. Yeah. Everyone, from every side.
No, the men were fine.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's like one of our boys is winning.
Yeah. So, but when I met him, I was at this modeling thing at Sun City. And apart from the makeup artist, I was the only other white person there, which didn't make me uncomfortable, but, I was a very shy young girl. And the guy I was dating said to me, I want to introduce you to the man. And he's like this amazing man, budding businessman, et cetera, and took me to one of these big tables at this function. It was before the contest, so there weren't any people. And it was just him and his wife. And he greeted me with so much compassion and kind of said, where does she sit? Look where her name is. Let her sit here because she's going to feel out. And I still thought, wow, it's amazing that somebody could think that I might be uncomfortable. And anyway, so when I heard that he's starting a political party, I thought, well, the bit that I saw about this man and what I know that he did in Johannesburg, I'm in. To my surprise, everything that was about this party was everything I agree with. There's nothing I don't agree with.
You don't think Action SA is DA light?
I can understand that you say that because policy-wise, yes. Many of the policies align. They are free market policies. They are classic liberals. Yeah. The only big difference is that, in my blunt way of saying it, DA's policies do still retain inequality, in my view, where Action SA is pro-poor. That's why where they deviate on policy is where there's matters of poor upliftment. And then people say, okay, but then it's a socialist party. No, it's not. But being socially conscious doesn't have to mean that you're all of a sudden socialist or communist for that matter. And for me, people hate it when it's a color issue, but I don't want a white leader in a majority black country. I want to be part of something that represents the same demographics as the country and that is in favor of fixing things and in favor of moving forward and creating a better future. And I only see it in Action SA. And there are some other great parties. I met somebody recently from, was it UIM, the guy that passed away?
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's...
De Pierre.
Yes. And she said, why do you want to be part of them, etc., etc.? But I don't want to be part of a white party. I'm just not interested in being...
Neil de Beer, sorry.
Neil de Beer, yeah.
Yeah. May you rest in peace.
Yes. He was really brilliant. But I choose a multiracial society. That is what I believe in. That is what I see the best way is. So for me, that is the only party really doing that. I do, however, think that political parties are not necessarily the beginning and end all. I don't know if you saw, did you see the SMWX with Prince Mashele 2-3 weeks ago?
I'm not sure.
So I'm a big fan of Prince Mashele, of course.
He wrote Terman's book.
Yeah.
Hey, of course.
He's not my favorite analyst, but I really enjoy his work. And he said something towards the end of his interview, which was, we're at a time now where professionals in South Africa need to get involved in politics. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't want to be a politician as much as I want to actually have political influence. And I think if all citizens felt that way, we could change the country very quickly. But if we keep on having this attitude, what if, or this or that, or apartheid was better, we had, so what? We are where we are now. By crying that the roads were better in 1990 is not going to make the roads better. So we need to decide that we now move forward and stop complaining.
The DA argues in the Western Cape that they have the highest budget for the poor. You're saying Action SA's policies are pro-poor. They argue, I don't know, because the Cape Flats are fucked. They argue that they've got the biggest budgets and they do the most for the poor compared to everyone else in the country. Do you think it's just political sloganeering, or do you think it's actually legit? And do you think that would make them pro-poor, if true?
So my mother's probably going to watch this, so I must be very careful what I say. Because my mom says that they really are doing a good job in the Western Cape. But
she's not based there?
No.
Okay.
No, she
visits there.
My mom went to Khayelitsha one year during the rainy season.
Okay.
And she says once you walk into a shack that's this deep underwater, your view of life changes. If you think of a person that has to wake up at 5 to be at work and the place that they're staying is underwater and it's cold and their whole body is cold and they have to queue, and just what life is like for that person.
Yeah.
The Cape is a very volatile place when it comes to the weather, obviously crime-wise as well. I hear what they say regarding doing a lot, and I'm sure on paper, yes.
Sure.
But people see with their eyes what's going on.
And you don't buy it.
I don't buy it. Your aim is to build the Monaco of Africa. You know that in Monaco, even the hotel managers can't afford to live in one of the hotel rooms. The hotels can't lose that room, and they can't afford living in Monaco. They have to travel 2 hours in, 2 hours out some days. The managers.
I can believe that.
Is that a life?
I hear in Dubai it's also similar. They hide their poor immigrant labor very well.
So, and I know Singapore even very similar. I've been to Singapore a few years back. Is that what we want? Is that really what we want?
And you're saying that's what the DA comes with?
Yes.
Do you believe in meritocracy? Sorry, you were making an example. This shiny?
No. I was just saying, basically, if you have this shiny example, to tourists, Cape Town is amazing.
Yeah.
For those of us who've been there, it's a beautiful place.
It's gorgeous.
But, yeah, what is life like for those that clean the floors of your hotel room. I read once a comment by Indian tourists of all places, and she just said she hates traveling to Cape Town because it seems as if to the middle and upper class residents of Cape Town, they can tolerate the poverty, but she cannot. She cannot enjoy a place and see the poverty that's there. I don't know. It's a tough question to ask because when you, in a free market system, of course, you have the poor and the rich. It happens. And people say to me, no, but free, and I know what you were saying earlier, they say free market is the answer. And I've also asked this question because people say, rising tide lifts all boats. But we are the most unequal country in the world. It's a bit of a different situation than in most. So
it's almost like if we speak income inequality, maybe for people to have a better picture, it's saying there's a very small group of people that have all the information and the vast majority know nothing. And then you're saying, let them negotiate fairly and equally. It's impossible because the people at the bottom know nothing. So if you want to argue free market in a space where people don't have land, resources, skills, etc., and you're like, oh, but it's willing buyer, willing seller. It's like, but you built arguably your wealth off generations of whatever advantage you have. And now you're saying, okay, now we have on equal footing this democracy, free market. That's not fair because you have all the information and people know nothing. And you're claiming that this is free and it's fair.
That's very true.
Do you believe in meritocracy? I asked this in the context of you saying you'd prefer to not have a white leader in a majority black country. And my question would be, why not just go for the best leader regardless of race?
No, definitely. I agree with you.
No, that's not what I was saying.
No, I agree with you. I must stop myself from slagging the DA. So I'm biting on my lip.
You believe in meritocracy?
No, I do believe in meritocracy, yes.
Do you think the best leader in this country is probably black?
I don't know, but I'd like it to be.
That's a wish.
Yes.
It's not what's maybe in front of you, which is merit. It's I wish
no, definitely.
the Springboks were majority black. Ideally.
Definitely. No, whoever's the best person for the job should get the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's Action SA's vision for the country, and does it align with yours, or do you have a different vision?
That's a really tough question. I need to go Google them.
You don't have to. You can just share yours. You can be like, look, I'm not really sure.
No, look, I've read. So you know how Action SA's policies were written, and do you know?
No.
So they had the People's Dialogue.
Sure.
Yeah.
Herman Mashaba started with that after he left the DA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looked at what are the things that are important to people, which to me, that is a good way of building your policy base. Deciding what is important to you.
Yeah.
I can go on about all the policies of Action SA, but it's better just to go to the website. But for me personally, for the country, I would love it if we could have more compassion for each other. We have people living really in extreme poverty with very little hope, who are very far isolated and are still living with the consequences of apartheid spatial planning. I get very angry when people say, but apartheid is over. It definitely is not, because you've got people that need opportunities that are an hour's drive away from where the opportunities are. That is a reality we have to face. And if you want to keep people poor, you have the poor people very far from their jobs.
That is correct.
They'll keep them poor.
Half of their income goes to just travel.
Yeah. I had a situation about a year ago with people that I know working for a business who are illegal immigrants. And in tears, and I couldn't understand what was going on. And explaining to me that they were working definitely below minimum wage, and could only afford to live, let's say, in Braamfontein, and their income goes to essentially paying for accommodation, travel, and there's a bit of money left for food. But they, you navigate normally with food. And the bit that's left has caused them in their 20s to not be in relationships because they can't afford a girlfriend or kids. Is that what we want? No. So something's got to change. The ANC is not changing that thing. I think a big part of this, and probably the most contentious in this whole mess that we are in, is illegal immigration. And the fact that we are not honest to say that it's ongoing and it's masses of people continually coming into this country. And as desperate as they are, and a lot more desperate maybe than our own people, coming from other parts, mostly of Africa, but other countries as well, let's say Bangladesh or wherever, where the situation is extremely dire. But at what point do we say that we need to make it good for our people that suffered? Because it's now 31 years later, and for many people, things haven't changed. And what decision do we need to make so we can make it right?
Do you have solutions?
So, vote for Action is...
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
No, do I have solutions?
6 deporters?
Sorry, there was actually a joke, but it's not a joke, but it's a joke. That's a good question. I definitely think we've got too many people to deport everybody. It's going to be a massive thing. I like the idea that we start cleaning our cities because that's where all the illegal immigrants are. Even those people who are innocent are hiding in buildings where often they are abused, trafficked. Nothing good can come from things continuing like that. Nothing good. And shine a light on everything. But the illegal immigrant problem is actually our biggest problem. It's just that nobody wants to admit it. And the people with money, middle and upper class, are unaffected. Well, they are affected, but they don't know how. They don't understand that the amount of people using our roads, the amount of people drinking our water and pooing in our sewage system who are not financially contributing to the country is making the infrastructure fall apart. So you can point fingers at the ANC, definitely, but there's other sides to it. The massive pressure on our infrastructure is insane. And we need to start talking about that. And either, I know there's some engagement with even kings and queens in Africa where they're speaking to them about their people who are living here, etc. But the international...
Who's speaking to them?
So I spoke to some guys from Josie My Josie.
Okay, these are local South Africans in Johannesburg.
Yes.
Okay.
So they've actually approached African countries, and especially those that have royalty, to say, come and speak to us about your people. Because there's many of them in the inner city. It's not a simple thing. You can put people on airplanes and buses and send them everywhere and close the border. Of course we can do that. But to find the humanitarian middle ground isn't easy. But everybody's just shutting up about it, the whole situation, and we can't. And if we continue, there will be more Dudulas and more Abahambes and whatever else, and it will get really ugly. So it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Before we go back to illegal foreigners, you seem to have been exposed to Black people, and number one, I need you to confirm. But second, I'd like to know, why did you get exposed to Black people? Who is the cause of that? Because the reality is most white people, I'd like to think, have never been to a township.
Okay.
They don't know how Black people live.
Very true.
They've been very sheltered even during apartheid.
That's very, very true.
There are more and more black people that I meet now whose kids also haven't been to townships.
You know how bad it is?
They can't believe that people live in shacks. They watch it on TV. They're like, that's not real.
That's true.
So you realize that at least where we are now, it's class more than race. But it sounds like you were exposed to a point where you date a black person. Why were you exposed to black people growing up?
So from a young age, I lived in the Bluff in Durban until the age of about 6. And there, the church we were in was mixed. So it was Zulus, Indians, and then a bunch of English people. I could actually not speak Afrikaans really until we moved back to Pretoria at the age of about 5, 6.
Yeah.
And I thought Afrikaans people were very weird. But I adapted. But deep down, this is very strange. I've got many Indian clients and they would never know it, but I always feel comfortable with them because it feels like I'm back in Durban.
Sure.
Being at home,
familiar.
you know. Yes. Yeah. So to me, Zulus and Indians are my comfort zone, strangely enough. But that's where it started. My aunt was actually dating a photographer, as my mother's twin sister.
Yeah.
That was working in Soweto during the riots.
Black person?
No, white guy.
Okay.
A journalist.
Okay. Or he wasn't living in Soweto, he was just working there.
He was just working there. Okay. So he covered a lot of the hectic stuff that was going on. And my grandfather, on my mom's side, he was a very soft, loving person. And my mom told me that he always used to say he doesn't understand why the government does this to black people. Like why they were driving home the one day and this old man walking. And my grandfather wanted to pick him up. And my grandmother said, no, we'll be in trouble and the neighbors will think funny. And my granddad said that, but it's not right. Like, why can I not just pick him up and give him a lift? Just because he's black now, I can't give him a lift in my car.
Yeah.
So I think from that, my mom definitely, my mom and my dad brought us up not to see color in that way, to see people as people. And then, growing up, we knew people from different races, and even the lady that I grew up with, our cleaning lady, I used to sit and eat pap and moroch in the laundry. It's so weird, like when I smell moroch, especially the dried one, when you rehydrate it. I've put it on Twitter before, but it always takes me back to when I was like really young. Yeah, so I was not brought up with the idea to hate where I know other people were, to judge and hate, and etc. And then when I got older, I've just always been open to different cultures and interested. As a teenager, always listened to West African music. I still love it very much. It was just different for me. And then I remember my aunt at that stage was living just before the elections in 94. She stayed in Botswana, in Gabs. And I went to visit her 2 months before the 94 elections. And the one day she said, she was working, I don't know if you've ever been to Botswana or not. So there's a square, and she said, I must just go opposite the square and I'm going to get, I don't know, something to drink or lunch. And
this is in Gaborone?
In Gaborone, yeah. Okay. And so obviously just beginning high school, not giving away my age. And I remember walking and I had some cash with me. And I was, you're young and scared, and everybody greeted me. And, it's only black people. Everybody greeted me, and I thought it was so weird. And then at some point, somebody stopped me and said, little girl, are you okay? You seem really scared and lost. And I said, no, I'm fine. And then the person said, oh, you're probably from South Africa. That's why you're scared of us. And that moment really stuck with me, that we're a bit screwed up because of our past. We've got major issues. And it doesn't help that we even today segregated. It doesn't help at all.
A very close friend and brother of mine is from the DRC. I don't even know I'm calling him a brother. He's much older. He's more of a much older brother, father figure. Pascal Mukadi is married to a very beautiful Russian lady, white lady. He's black. I sat with him and he told me a story because he's from the DRC, and then I think his father passed on, so he moved to stay with his brother in South Africa. He had exposure here, and then with business, he's traveled all over the world. He now lives in Russia with his wife and their kids.
Oh, nice.
He speaks about how messed up the racial relations are, specifically in South Africa, to a point where he was in Russia. I think he was jogging or he was walking. It was getting dark. And there was an old white Russian lady walking towards him. And he said because of the upbringing and the conditioning, he wanted to not appear as a threat to her.
Sure, that's
so
sad.
he moved out of the way. And he said he went past her, trying to make sure that she feels safe.
Sure, that's
And then
sad.
after walking a few steps, he stopped because she was carrying heavy things. He was like, but this is not how I was raised. And he says he went to her and she was not scared at all. She said, thank you so much. I think it's spasiba in Russian to carrying. And he walked her and he said after he got her to wherever she was going, he said she grabbed his face and she was like, thank you so much. And he said he cried like a child because he realized how the conditioning has messed him up so much. You can travel the whole world. Maybe America is close to us in terms of racial tension.
The issues
but
we have.
everywhere else in the world, the relationship between black and white is not as hectic as it is here.
Oh, it's very bad.
Here, everyone, even uppity white people and uppity black people, there's still a complex. And you won't notice it until you go to other spaces where when you see people interacting, your knee-jerk reaction is to feel some type of way and they're like, what are you doing? I was in South Korea 2014, I think. And I was being hosted and I saw someone parking a car and leaving the door open and it was running. I think this may have been in Seoul or one of the cities there. And I was like, oh, that person left their car. And the person who was hosting was like, oh, this is very common. I'm like, oh, they leave cars open. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. There's no crime or the crime is very low. And they were like, yeah, sure, it's safe. But more importantly, there's like a space problem for parking. So people normally leave their cars running or unlocked so that
somebody else can move it.
I've
heard of something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And when you tell people the story, it's insane. It's like never. And that's where you realize how deep our crime problem is here, where we're scared of, where you parked your car and locked it with an alarm in a gated mall, you still hold your breath that you're going to find your car there. Whereas in other places, they just leave their car. And they're like, look, my keys are there. I think I parked you in. If you get there before me, please just move it. And you're like, cool. But our racial dynamics in this country are very severe.
It is very
and they
bad.
hurt even good people. Good people find themselves feeling funny. So for someone to say to you, oh, you're scared, you're probably South African. And you're like, that's weird.
Yeah.
I remember meeting white Zimbabweans when I was at Rhodes University. When they bump into black Zimbabweans, they speak to them in Shona or Ndebele. It's a knee-jerk reaction. It's like if you see me like, hey, Sawona.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you just speak? Like, oh, I just assumed since he's black, he speaks Zulu. Whereas here, when a white person sees a black person, it's English Afrikaans. When a black person sees a white person, you start with English Afrikaans because the assumption is I must assimilate to the white culture. It's very interesting.
You really don't have to speak Afrikaans with me.
Yeah, you said your Afrikaans is dodge. Do you acknowledge your privilege/curse in terms of the church, your parents, your mom's sister, and the person she was seeing and their exposure? And in acknowledging it, do you have a sensitivity to white people that were not exposed like you, so they don't know? So when you're like, but that's wrong, they're like, no, it's not wrong. These people are going to steal our stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it's not like that. But it's because you were exposed.
That's very true. It's very true. I often forget what I've been exposed to. And I'll add something else that had happened. So after I was married before, and my previous husband was a tour operator.
Tour?
Yeah,
okay.
Tour operator. He wanted to be a diplomat, but, he just decided being a white boy, it's not worth pursuing after 94.
Sure.
And decided to go into tours. But he exposed me to a lot of cultures. Back then, I didn't even know, there's all these different languages, and vendors are not like Zulus, and all these weird things.
Because there are a lot of white people, it's all the same thing.
It's all the same,
yeah.
Yes. They don't understand that Tswana women can be cheeky, in my experience.
Sorry to the Tswana ladies, it's just Olivia.
Yeah. And, I grew up with Pedi people, so Pedi people are generally very soft-spoken, and I like that type of demeanor. Vendors as well. We won't say anything about Zulus, but
no comment. We're also very quiet people that keep to ourselves.
So it's interesting when you start to learn those type of things. And he took me. Sometimes we go on tour with all these weird, especially Europeans. The Germans are quite interesting, and just going to random townships. And I remember there's at some point there's a township that was actually a location, because there's a difference. There's a difference between a location and a township. Did you not know that?
I thought it was the same thing.
It's not the same. So township is a place that was created close to city. Location is a location. It's
springs
kind
up?
of, no, so it's not there for work. It's where people stayed originally. So like the original village I don't know if that makes sense. So townships, you get close to cities. But
they were designed specifically for labor for the city.
Yeah, townships,
yeah. Location is people were living.
This is now what a Swati guy told me. So it's a location.
That's Swati guy was lying.
So this place called Mgwenya. And we used to go there quite a lot. We have a very nice friend there, Tommy Maseko. And Tommy we used to go to his house quite a lot. Had nice old coal stove and
Dover.
Yeah, really cool. I mean, just the most amazing experience. And we used to go to the Shebeen when we were there on the weekends. And it took about a year for the locals not to ask us to buy them quartz. Because you just assume, here's a white person and they have money to buy quartz.
It's a tourist from overseas.
Yes,
probably
or
rich.
whatever. But it was really nice eventually sitting in this Shebeen, and when you experience the true culture and where the elders want to meet you and to be invited to that. I remember at one stage we were privileged enough to be invited to a funeral. And that was interesting. But I did all the wrong things, being the way I am. So I refused to sit on the chair that was given to me to sit with the women. I always sit with men. So it was very uncomfortable sitting with a bunch of women. And I don't know what to talk about. And then, because I sit on the floor, it's just the way I am. But it was lovely, sitting in one of the rooms, and everybody laughed when I had the mkomboti. That was interesting, and learning why the elders were in the room, things that I didn't know existed. And you think the stuff because there's a lady that lived in your house and that was like a mother to you, but you don't know anything about this other culture.
Most people don't know where she lives, how she lives,
yes, exactly.
etc.
Exactly. So, and then visiting some other townships, my ex decided he wants to go buy dacha one day.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't smoke, just for the record.
Yes, officially.
Yes, officially.
Apparently.
So he decided, was it close to Bathurst? We're going into this township and we're going to ask. Eventually, we were driving all over the place, and every Shebeen where there was a drunk old lady, because apparently the old ladies that are drunk know where to get the stuff. But yeah, so now I've done some really weird things. That was a fascinating experience, kind of being forced in just to go to all these little locations and townships. And I've been into Alex, and I've been to Soweto and Mamelodi, and a whole bunch. I prefer the locations in small villages because it's a nice experiencing cultures. Haven't been in Zululand much. Apparently that's a bit scary.
According to who? People from Limpopo and Pretoria. Trevor Noah says, or has said, that prejudice doesn't hold up well against contact. He was speaking about some of the racist white people in America who would see any Muslim person and be like, oh, these are terrorists. And he would ask questions like, where are you from? Are there any Muslims in your area? Have you ever gone to visit them? And he finds that most people don't live close to the people they don't like, have never really engaged them, have never been to where they live. So they actually don't understand. It's because they've been fed this propaganda. When I was in matric at Newcastle High School, I was deputy head boy, and I remember speaking to our deputy headmaster.
That explains a lot.
Oh, you mean my great leadership?
Yes,
and,
of course.
I remember saying to my deputy headmaster, so it was an ex-Model C school, majority white, and I was speaking about a cultural exchange program, because we'd have exchange students almost every year, Brazil, America, Germany. And I said, why don't we organize for white kids to visit township schools, and then vice versa? And at the time, he gave me some long story and excuse, etc. And for many years thereafter, I think about that a lot, because if ever, which I know we don't believe in as a country, but if ever we actually wanted to do nation building, that would need to be the first step, to say, you have a helper at home, you have someone who watches your kids. First point of call, I want you to travel with this person home. Walk with them to the taxi station or the road, catch a taxi with them, see where they live, sleep over there, eat what they eat, wake up in the morning, so that you can gain perspective. If you have employees as a boss, KFC, whatever, Checkers, go with those people that work for you. Just even if it's just one day, it's going to give you perspective that will blow your mind. And allow some of them to drive home with you, see where you sleep, because there's going to be perspective. I've been blessed and cursed to understand all the dynamics. So one of the reasons I get attacked on Twitter is because I can defend white conservatives, because I understand their ignorance, where they're coming from, their concerns. But I can defend poor black people who are burning clinics, or who keep voting for the ANC. And you're like, are these people stupid? And you're like, if you can show them a better alternative, that'll give them a better house, a bigger grant, and access to jobs, because a lot of them want to work. They'll support you. But if you don't, and all you're doing is telling them, you're stupid, look at what they're doing.
Exactly.
They turn around and they say, yeah, but you vote for people. Look at Apartheid and what it was doing to us. And there's a disconnect, because people are not willing to step out of their comfort zone and go see.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, most South Africans don't want to. But if ever we really, really pretended to that would be the first thing, to just say, the black people around you, just go home with them. That's all we're asking.
You know, it's like the worst thing when you realize the bottom paid person in the company who's in trouble because they're 10 or 20 minutes late. But you don't understand that they've been up since 3 a.m. Actually was at Clicks earlier, and the one lady said, she needs a Red Bull. She's so tired. So I said to her, were you up early? Because I understand there's some realities. And she's like, yeah, she's been up since 4:30. Feed the kids, get them to school, and for her to get to work. Now, let's say the average white person in Pretoria that I know, they don't understand the reality of living an hour and a half away from where you work. I think of some ladies, I've got a lady that works for me 1 day a week. I only employ South Africans, by the way.
They're very expensive, those South Africans.
They are quite expensive, but she's in KwaMhlanga, and understanding the reality of her only working 1 day a week for me, having to buy a bus ticket because she doesn't work the other day, she has to buy a specific one, being in the bus for 2 hours often. I mean, that's 4 hours of your day. And then not a lot of money. People are just very hard on poor people. My mum's got a community center in Mamelodi. I have told you before.
Shout out to your mom, man.
Yeah. And she's taught me a lot of things. She started in 1998. Learned a lot. And the one thing, I said something on Twitter the other day, which was one of her words. And she said she's so sick of these white saviors that think they know exactly how to fix the township. And that's the problem, is if you don't know what people are going through. You know, somebody said to me once, if you've never seen anybody in your family wake up at 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. to go to work, you've never seen the example of a person waking up, putting clothes on and going to work, what frame of reference do you have of going to get a job? It's a totally foreign thing to you. Maybe you grew up with your grandmother and you only saw your uncle drink beer. That's what you're used to. The ramifications of poverty is not as simple as what many middle and upper class people think it is. And we can all live in our little, what's it like Franz Cornier talks about, enclaves. We can all live in our little comfortable enclaves, but we are in the most unequal country in the world. And we can carry on, but the problem's not going to go away.
It's going to get worse.
Yeah. You can build a wall around the Western Cape and have Cape independence. Eventually, the peasants will storm the castle. So, unfortunately, I think people will be forced to start caring about the poor. And
that's if the poor aren't eating them. And sending,
yes,
and sending.
Exactly. And caring about the poor is not about taking this dress and putting it in a bag and dropping at your church or at your mosque or wherever where they're donating. That is not taking care of the poor. Taking care of the poor is uplifting them, creating jobs, giving them a sense of worth. And that is not as simple as sending some food.
Sure.
You know, because that food will eat, it feeds them today. It doesn't feed them tomorrow.
Do you struggle from a white savior complex? Do you think sometimes you think you understand Black people because you've been exposed to them a lot?
That's a good question. Maybe.
To both?
No, I think I just have a savior complex for people in general. There's lots of poor people, and they're not all Black. We just have.
That is true.
We have a majority Black people, and they are disproportionately poor. Poverty is a tough thing. I had this conversation recently with a classic liberal, and it's always the thing of no, but the free market will fix everything.
Of course, and economic growth.
Yes, and economic growth. But why do you have a problem that I want a factory in the township? Why would you, not you, this person, have a problem with that? Why should we build a bunch of factories in the middle of nowhere where there's no people, or close to where the rich people are?
Sure.
I often wonder who's really in control of this big thing. Because back to that thing that I mentioned that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma said, why did she say that? Who's really in control? And did they mean to weaken the country to this point where we've got something like the manufacturing industry at the state that it is?
You're a white savior?
No.
I'd like to assume.
You want me to be?
I'd like to assume that you've been exposed to poor white people.
Yes, I have. Not a lot, but I have.
Do you have any idea why there are poor white people in South Africa? Because with Black poverty, it's apartheid. British colonizers. But with poor white people, it's like, okay, we can't say it's apartheid or the British. So What's the cause?
There's this poverty. Poverty is poverty. If you ask many white people, they will tell you it's BE.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's what they've been told.
Yeah.
It's the black people and the ANC.
I had this discussion with my beautician, actually. And she was explaining how her son is, I don't know exactly, but he splices, I don't know, some scientific thing. He's got some fancy thing that he can do. Oh. But he can't get a job. And he's now been sitting at home for 2 years.
These are white people.
Yeah, okay. White people. So, I mean, I hear that, but at the same point, I think of myself. I was denied sort of one of my dream jobs was to be head of interior design for a bank. And I applied, what's it, back in 2006, around there. Applied to be, the post was open at Nedbank. And then the lady said to me, it's a empowerment position. So if you were Indian, we could help you. But sorry. And I said, well, have you found anybody? No, well, there's nobody with enough experience because, it was 2006 and it's a senior position. And same,
you should have been Indian for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And said, oh, no, I do go to...
and then I think it was the same with Standard Bank Standard Bank or one of those. Also, internal head of design. Same story. But, you adapt. Same way that people, whatever the situation is. There's this article I read that said that the Afrikaner today is the Portuguese and the Greek of the apartheid years. Because, when the Portuguese came here from Madeira, and you know about this.
Please go for it.
Yeah,
Someone might not.
Yeah,
anyway, shout out to the Portuguese from Madeira because we've got Porto's fish and chips in Newcastle, the best chips in the world. And that family there is from Madeira as well.
So I didn't know this when I was young, but I always thought it was quite weird that it's always a Greek or Portuguese person owning the corner cafe or selling vegetables and those type of things. And then today, very successful restaurateurs tend to be always Greek.
These are your famous brands, people, the Halamandras families and others.
Tasha's and the whatever of the world. So back in those days, even though they were white, when they came over from Greece or Madeira or wherever, they did not have the advantage of whatever the apartheid government offered white people.
Sure. They were dirty immigrants.
They were dirty.
Dirty white immigrants.
And they had to make do with whatever they could do. So what is one of the best things to do is sell people food because everybody's got to eat. And they became entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I find this is a bit of a touchy subject, but among many of the Afrikaans people that I know with young kids, the ones that I think are doing the right thing, and this is a very sketchy point to make, but it's to encourage the kids to be entrepreneurs and be business owners. And this is sort of what happened to me, I think, after the third time that they said, and I mean, I've been working on my career since I was 16. I decided to do what I do today.
That's brilliant. Shout out to you for finding your calling so early.
But after the third time when they said I couldn't apply, I did get a job after that, but I just realized, you know what, just start your own thing. And I did eventually 10 years ago. So one could complain, but there's people that's 8 years old in Thailand selling food 10 o'clock at night to guys next to the road.
Yeah.
We can adapt, I think, as human beings. Not that I think that it's right that there's any poverty, whether it's white or whatever. And not that I think that it's terrible that in the new South Africa that white people have to be marginalized that weren't involved in creating an apartheid government. But we can adapt,
It sounds like you're saying the major reason for white poverty is lack of job opportunities because they're white.
Yeah.
You believe that?
Yes. that is what everybody's telling me that I've asked.
I don't believe that.
I don't know.
Understand.
I don't know if it is true, but many people that I've spoken to, that I've heard, would say that.
Sure.
It's not my mission. There's many people who have that mission. So I'm
listening to you. Sorry, I'm trying to find the white unemployment rate in South Africa because I've got a question.
It's a very sensitive topic that I would prefer not to speak.
It's about 8%, the white unemployment rate. Let me see if I can find the black unemployment rate. It's at about 38% versus 8%.
Do you? Okay, that's a good point. Can I change the subject here? We're not change the subject, but
sure.
Do you think if we didn't have any illegal immigrants that the black unemployment rate would be what it is now?
No, I think it would be lower.
Considerably lower.
I have no idea how much lower, but I think it would be lower. I wanted to ask, we speak about white monopoly capital. We've got an 8% white unemployment rate. And I mean, white people are only 8% of the population. It's not a lot of people. Now, this is me asking you to just guess, I think. Why do you think well-off white people with a bit of means, why do you think they're struggling to absorb this 8% unemployed whites? I mean, white people could hire white maids, white gardeners, white drivers. Or are we to assume that this 8% is highly educated white people that can't get opportunities because they reserve for black people?
No, normally it is.
You don't think white people can resolve this on their own? And maybe there's just a blockage somewhere? Because I feel like white unemployment in this country should be zero.
They could, but if I take a random example, let's say like house cleaning work.
Yeah.
I have heard of people who employ white ladies to clean their houses. In general, people take the easy way out. So they'd rather employ a Zimbabwean.
Sure.
And that's why I think many of these statistics that we have, if we had to remove the illegal immigrant element to our society, would be interesting to know. Not that I say we should and that I hate anybody that's come to this country out of desperation, but I know how people in our area talk. It's gotten, I'm going to say it bad, but it's gotten so bad that people actually brag about the Malawian gardener. And if anybody's looking for a Malawian gardener, that's how they talk.
Sure.
Poor white people, poor unemployed white people are not necessarily as good employees as a Zimbabwean that's desperate.
2 quick ones. Number one, just my opinion on white poverty, which I believe...
So you're asking difficult questions.
White poverty, which I think existed, I believe also existed during apartheid. I think there are some white people who maybe struggle at school, number one. So they don't get the education that others get. I do think there are some white people that, like other people, struggle with drug addiction, alcohol addiction. And I do believe there are some white people who, for whatever reason, are just lazy and suffer from victimhood like a lot of black people. So a lot of those ones that live in caravans that people call trailer trash and those not nice words, I think a lot of those people fall under that. And I do think some of the white people who are maybe educated, have some skills, I think it's easier to absorb them. And those that are able to move, they move to your Canada or your Middle East or whatever the case may be. That was the first thing. I forgot the second one. But I wanted to say, the second one was this. I was in Orania. We were in Orania, I think 2 years ago, 1 or 2 years ago. And there was a Dominee that came to speak to us. And in Orania, they believe in their own labor, white Afrikaner own labor. And he said it was an adjustment for him watching his wife having to clean the toilet. because it felt demeaning. And it gave him that perspective of why are we so comfortable having other people come and
clean after
us. And he was like, that was a very sobering moment for him. And he realized that part of the problem we have is this classist idea. And he believes a lot of white people wouldn't be able to survive in Orania because there are certain jobs that they feel are beneath them. They're like, no, that's for black people.
Yes.
Or for Zimbabweans or Malawians. Why would my son work in a garden? What the hell? That was the second part. You spoke about foreigners.
My coffee is finished.
Sorry, we'll get you more coffee now. This came out recently, Sweep South 2025.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they do cleaning services.
Yeah.
And they found that 64% of their respondents were Zimbabwean.
Yes.
2% Malawian. But more than anything, 67% foreign. So to your question around if undocumented illegal foreigners were to be gone,
we would have no cleaners left.
Yes. Yeah. Someone would need to cover this, and it would probably be a South African. So,
which I always find interesting. When
sorry to disturb. Sizwe, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I don't really do projects with with houses. I prefer not to work on houses, but every now and again there's something that comes up, and I find myself in one of these fancy estates.
Hey.
And the first thing I always think of when I see these houses is the house is so big, you'd have to put up with somebody in your house every day to keep it clean.
Yeah, that is true.
And I often think, why would you want to live like that? I know for many people it's wonderful. I prefer the privacy of not having somebody in my space most of the time. But I think we live in a very strange bubble here at the bottom of Africa. Very, very strange.
Yeah.
Somebody once said to me, especially when I'm outspoken about this issue on illegal immigration, don't I love people from other African countries? No, that's not the issue at all. On the contrary, I have a few friends from different weird places in Africa. I have Nigerian friends, and I love Africa very much. And I don't necessarily have the strong view of chasing everybody away or this or that. It's more, I think, a thing where it's become easy to blame certain things. It's easy to blame the ANC. It's easy to blame apartheid. It's easy to blame the bad education, 30%ers, whatever. Those are not solutions. None of those things are solutions. Not speaking about the fact that we've got the amount of illegal immigrants that we have are also not solutions. We need to start getting real about what's actually happening. And this discussion we just had about knowing how people live. I had this with quite a few people before where they'd say, no, this and that, and, can't black people, whatever. And I often ask them, have you been to a township? No, they haven't. And once you see how people live, we've got Indian friends. And I remember the first time I went to visit their new place, the first thing that, I don't know if this is a normal thing, but you get shown the temple and all of those things. And it was weird for me because I've never seen it. It's a totally different culture, seeing how Hindus worship and all of those things. And that's how it is with any culture. And it's sad that the Rainbow Nation, the nation that's supposed to be, unity and diversity, but what understanding do we have of the lives of
almost
people?
Nothing. It's just nice slogans.
I didn't grow up very Afrikaans, so I don't even know exactly how Afrikaans people are because my family's not traditional.
Sure.
But the more we expose ourselves, the thing is, your person, I always say when you go to somebody's Facebook, and sorry for the people that have Facebook like this, but you go through the friends and you can see it's everybody that they've been in school with. And there's nobody of a different race or that's from a different town even. Yeah. Then you kind of know that person is quite
conservative and probably
and,
traditionalist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're likely not going to become friends with them because they're only friends with people that they knew in school. It would be nice if that could change.
Do you think many South Africans are lying to themselves? So black people vote black, but they buy white, which arguably is
you said that recently,
some type of cognitive dissonance. If ever we were to have federalism in this country and we said we're going to have...
Ooh.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, no. I thought I was on flight mode.
No problem.
Obviously not.
Apologies. Sorted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's say we have federalism and we say we're going to give the Cape to capitalists. Not white people, just if you're pro-capitalism, you can have the Western Cape, a part of the Eastern Cape, maybe the Northern Cape.
Yeah, not the Northern Cape. There's a reason. Give them the Western Cape. It's fine.
You'll give, let's say, KZN to traditionalists, not just Zulus, anyone who believes in kings and maybe Gauteng, you can keep it cosmopolitan for the Olivias of this world, like different cultures.
La-di-da.
And then maybe parts of the Eastern Cape, Free State, we're like, this is where the socialists are going to live. And you say, if you believe in the EFF, MK, go live here. If you believe in the DA, whatever, maybe not even political parties. If you believe in socialism, go live here. If you believe in traditional leadership, live here. Do you think we're lying to ourselves because we probably already know that the Cape will become very rich and everyone will want to go live there? And the people that live in the middle part, the socialists, are going to struggle and are going to probably blame these guys and want to go there. And the traditional guys are going to want to leave there because they're like, but there's no jobs or anything here. Do you not think we already know that? Because we see it.
I do think
and people claim they want these things. But most of the leaders who are, let's say, anti-capitalist are fully entrenched in capitalist living and conservative living. They send their kids to expensive private schools and they have your highest level medical aid, but they just spewing this rhetoric of nationalize, but they don't mean it because realistically, people don't want to live a socialist life. They don't want to support black because they don't think it's good enough. They don't want to live in tribal land. They'd rather live in a shack close to the city.
Yeah.
Do you not think we're lying to ourselves as a collective of South Africa? We already know what we kind of want. We're just scared to say, look, we just all want to thrive in capitalism. But everything else is sort of kind of lying.
Definitely. You have answered your own question. Have you? No, I do agree.
But maybe you could disagree and be like, no, I'd actually like to see that experiment. I think the socialist state
I like the idea what you created.
That's apartheid, by the way.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting concept that you created, but yeah, I don't think realistically it would happen. I'm just always, my argument regarding the collapse of Johannesburg that we've discussed. So I do understand why people in the Western Cape, whether they are born there or they, semi-graters.
Hey.
Yeah. And I respect that people made that decision. Whatever it would be, I understand it is a really nice life. It's expensive, but, rather move in your own country than go overseas. It's great. But if I look at, and I can't sadly say who I spoke to about this, but if we look at national planning, in a sense, although apartheid ended, the way that our cities were planned and nationally things were planned, there's a lot of the plans that were just adapted, but they weren't scrapped. Not that it was a segregated thing, it's more just about properly developing the country. And when you look at, for example, I know one Cape Townian said to me, the problem with Cape Town is you're stuck between the ocean and a rock. You can only develop so much. If Johannesburg had to collapse, they basically have to build a whole new Cape Town. And
if Cape Town was to collapse?
Johannesburg had to collapse.
Okay.
You have to build a whole new Cape Town city because you can't accommodate the amount of businesses.
People there. Fair enough.
Yeah. So to me, all these other things are great. But at the end of the day, I think there was a weird experiment they tried, which it seems it was. Thank you.
Thank you, Caesar.
I really appreciate it. I'll make you next time. I almost think it's something that experiment they tried before COVID, because it seems as if the plan was in place before then, which is a conspiracy theory I have. Because I think that, what must I say now? I think that Gauteng was deliberately collapsed to a point or degraded. To make people move to the Western Cape, people with money. I know it's a very far-fetched conspiracy theory.
It's not far-fetched. And based on what you're basically saying, it's almost, now that they've figured out that Cape Town can't accommodate everyone, they're like, please send Helen so let's go fix this thing because we actually need it.
Yeah.
That's where you're going.
Exactly. Because I can't understand how can the best supposedly infrastructure fixing party in the country have done to Pretoria what happened in 7 years.
That's Celia Brink, DA Tshwane.
Yeah, it's not really his fault because he was only in for a year or two.
Sure.
It was DA run.
Okay.
And there's always these excuses. But I know with conversations that I've had with people from various political parties, it's a very sensitive subject, but the consensus is that the DA had collapsed both Tshwane and Johannesburg
to try and get people to move.
I don't know, but collapse the coalition if they're not in charge of the municipalities.
I think that's politics. That's not
pure
far-fetched.
politics.
Could be any party.
But either way, so what had happened is you've got all these rich people that moved down to the Western Cape. Wonderful. But the reason why I can't understand why people would support this notion of all the wealth and everything. Let's say, scrap Joburg, everything's not working, and the new financial hub of the country is now in the Western Cape. The majority, if you look at the maps of the people without jobs, the amount where people are concentrated in the country, it's not in the Western Cape. So all you've done is you've now just taken all the opportunities of already impoverished people away from them. And what do you expect is going to happen? Things are just going to get worse. What's going to happen if things get worse? Imagine all the masses up here move down to the Western Cape. Then they're going to complain.
It's going to be a party.
Yeah.
Why didn't you want me to include the Northern Cape in the capitalist Cape?
Because if they put a wall around the Western Cape, we want to keep the minerals up here.
There's minerals in the Northern Cape?
There's some good stuff up there.
This is widely known?
Yeah.
Or is this something that's still coming?
No. The exploration stuff it's widely known. If you had to isolate, let's say in this strange world that some of these, I'm sorry to diss the Cape Independence bunch. I'm getting really nasty today, it seems. But you can't grow just on having some apps or tech. Yes, you can probably if you look at Silicon Valley. But apps and tech and tourism. You need a little bit more. So there's some oil up, off the coast, close to Namibia. And one can do some fracking in the Karoo if you're into that thing, if you can do it properly. But the good stuff's up here. The stuff that the whole world wants is up here.
Sure.
And I did mention to you once, if you take a map, I created these maps and I've deleted some of them. I wish I didn't. But if you create a map showing where all the BRICS countries are, and you look at our distribution of uranium, and you start looking at other minerals, manganese and all of those things, you start understanding why everybody wants a piece of South Africa.
Sure.
And it wouldn't make sense for anybody that's into capitalism to cut the Western Cape off the rest, because there's not proper minerals down there.
So there probably are.
There's some,
but you'd probably have to
very little
blow up neighborhoods.
Yeah.
If I were to take a guess, because settlement started there. I don't think they explored much. Maybe they did. I don't know. But if ever there's stuff there, they'd have to literally destroy neighborhoods. I think the idea of an independent Cape, because I've said this before, this was tongue in cheek because I don't believe in an independent Cape. I said I'd support an independent Cape if all the people that live there relinquish their citizenship of the rest of South Africa, can't run any business in the rest of South Africa.
I agree.
And if they want to invest, they must fall under like serious regulatory and compliance matters. Because I think what they wanted to do is they want to run the rest of South Africa from an enclave protected. Yeah. So to what you're saying about the minerals, they'd be like, oh, we're just like foreign investors. And you're like, no, you're not. You just don't want to be touched there. And you want to milk and send all the money. It's like a Santon.
Yes.
You want all the money to flow through the Cape at low tax, not having to give back to the rest of South Africa and then export to the world. That's actually what you want. We're saying...
And turn this place into Mordor.
Have the Western Cape, have the Cape, but then you can't have the rest of South Africa. You have to take out your Pick and Pays, your Woolies, all the mines that you own, you have to relinquish ownership. I can tell you now, they'd be the first to be like, never. We can't agree to that.
Look, and from that point of view, I wouldn't want BE to go away. Because if I'm saying they, all these rich buggers in the Cape who control things, some of those people down there, in Stellenbosch, or apparently somewhere around there's a few.
Down under, South Africa.
Yeah. No, it's... I never thought about this whole idea, and I've looked at things similar to what you're saying now, but it's clear to me it's all driven by greed, and for me personally, where does that leave the poor South African that's been living third generation in a shack?
Back in the shack.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not that we're just talking about poverty.
Let's shut it down. Otherwise, we'll speak forever. I want to ask you to speak about two things. Yeah, the third one I'll leave out. Two things as we close off. Number one, you're very passionate about living off-grid, growing your own food, regenerative agriculture. So that's number one. I'd like you to just speak about that. And then number two, I'd like you to zone in a bit on your mom's community center in Mamelodi.
Okay.
Please.
Oh, those are good subjects. You made it easy for me today.
Yeah, a bit lighter now after the heavy stuff.
Yeah, the subject of Afrikaans or white poverty is a tough one for me, to be honest.
It's complex, to be honest, and it's something we're not allowed to speak about in the country because the focus is only on black poverty. Which is why, again, I'll understand when certain white people complain about why must poverty have a color? They are poor white people. And blacks are like, oh, shut up, you. And you're like, you know what? This is legit, but you can't say it because, it's only black poverty you must worry about. It's not fair. Living off-grid, growing your own food.
So, yeah.
Why Monsanto is the best company on earth.
You've heard all those things. So what I like... There's a thing, I'm not sure if you saw it, but I have this picture of, what is it? I think it's a bean or something growing. And I've said, if you teach a man to plant, you feed him. It's like when you teach a man to fish. But what I've noticed, and I've now, we've been living 10 years on a plot that we're renting. But of 7 of those 10 years, we've been living a permaculture, semi-off-grid life. The expensive stuff we haven't done, like solar panels and boreholes, that's a pricey endeavor.
Is that the last level? the end game. Once
Yes,
we go
that's the
soul
end
and
game.
borehole, like,
For the
fuck
rich
you, South
people-
Africa, go die.
Yeah, the rich people do that first.
Sure.
Because the borehole things can be pricey. But what I noticed, and it's nice being going through the journey, I don't have anybody helping me. It's these two hands planting seeds, working in the soil. We have some rabbits and pigs and chickens and ducks. And I've got an earthworm farm, etc., etc. And I can keep you busy for quite a long time. But it was interesting to see what is the basic of getting food. Finding something, for example, that will grow from a seed without water. So just the moisture that's in the soil. Because some plants need a lot of water and others don't. And the reason why I say teach a man to plant is, and if people have joked with me because they say I'm vegan and I'm not, I'm on a carnivore diet. But when you plant something, and especially if it's something that animals can eat, and then you get a chicken and you can feed the chicken, then you don't have to buy food for that chicken.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you have food, and you've got, if you do a proper job, you've got extra, and then you sell it.
Yes.
And to me, that's true freedom. I've also been through a long journey with people around me that's been very ill. So that's another reason why I'm organic, free range, clean food. Elon Musk's, I don't know if you've seen the thing with Elon Musk's brother, Kimball.
Is he doing off-grid organic?
No, so he's into, was it clean food or real food? So he says, it's quite interesting, real food is the next internet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be the next financial boom, which I also believe.
Sure.
We have some of our stuff that we sell, so we can see in the market, especially people in their 20s who watch TikTok, they want to know where their food is from. They want to know that that chicken wasn't in a little box.
Sure.
Because I believe, for example, if you've eaten a chicken that was in a little box and it's been given antibiotics because it's so close to the other chickens and it gets sick, you eating a sick animal and it makes you sick.
Sure. And other people argue, those that believe in spirituality at that level, that if you raise an animal to be traumatized in how they're raised, whatever meat you eat from there is probably going to...
that's interesting.
But that's a spiritual argument.
And since we started the journey, I garden outside barefoot.
Very important.
Yes.
Very important. Barefoot in the sun, on earth.
Yeah. And I don't really get sick anymore. I plant medicinal herbs as well. So I've got...
Hey, that's called inyanga, where I come from. So you're a traditional herbalist, a traditional doctor.
I've got a friend who is. I'm actually keen to study.
Beautiful.
I've got...
is that called homeopathy to white people?
Yeah, or herbalism.
Herbalism. Okay.
What is very interesting is there's some stuff that I started using, different plants, and then you find out, it's very popular in Zulu culture, but Afrikaans people also used it, and they called it kooigoed, and then there's kougoed, but then it's something totally different in Zulu, and it originated, for example, from, what's this one called Skeletium? I don't know if you know Skeletium. There's I'll send you later, but one of the guys on X grows it. He's from Zimbabwe. It's a very interesting plant. And Skeletium tortuosum, something like that. And that is called kougoed, which the Bushmen used to use when they go hunting. So they chew it, they can run, they have energy, they don't get hungry, etc.
Geez, it's like an energy boosting.
Yes. Okay. And it's good for diet because obviously you don't get hungry, etc.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that South Africa has a lot to grow when it comes to regenerative agriculture, and then on our medicinal herbs. I do think we are in the forefront. I had, for example, one of my friends that stays in Switzerland, and he takes a lot of medicinal mushrooms.
Not psychedelics. Psychedelics?
That as well, but
Okay.
he takes the lion's mane and a lot of interesting medicinal mushrooms. And he says that it's so difficult. He has to drive to Germany to get a lot of the herbs and things we have here.
Sure.
And we have it in clicks. Things like lion's mane or cordyceps, whatever you're into. And I think on that side, we're doing quite well, but there's a lot we can do with regenerative agriculture. And it could mean that homelands, traditional villages, if we had to spread the knowledge, could be a different place.
Part of the problem with capitalism, they keep speaking about jobs and unemployment, is the more you empower people to do for self, a lot of businesses will collapse. So coming up with your own traditional medicines means you don't have to go to Clicks or Dischem or some other pharmaceutical company, and those people lose jobs. If you're growing your own food, then you're not buying from Rainbow or Karen Beef or ZZ2. And it's like, but what about the jobs? So that's part of the problem with empowering people, number one. And number two, I've said this before and I'll say it again.
Are you in favor or against empowering people?
I'll answer that.
Okay.
Decolonization as a concept is, a lot of black people misunderstand it and a lot of white people misunderstand it. So we were colonized by the British here in Southern Africa. And they came with their ways of doing things, their laws, their politics, their economic systems, their healthcare systems, their technological systems. The idea of decolonization is not to say everything British or everything West is bad. It's to say they brought these things here, but are they aligned to how we'd like to live as Africans? And as Africans, we're not just saying black people. Is Western medicine the best? And even for white people, you might find, no, but if I want to treat this, it's better to take these herbs or to go to a herbalist versus if I need a Western doctor, cool. When it comes to certain laws, do I go to a gathering of chiefs and mediators to come up with a solution? Or do I go to a court where someone studied the law? And when it comes to economy, do I have to speak to the South African Reserve Bank and come up with fractional reserve lending? Or can I just barter, which is decolonized, et cetera, et cetera. So decolonization, including what Afrikaners have become, because I think they're the best example of what decolonization is. They have their own language. They've built their own systems with their own language. They dress according to African climate. So when you speak about the khakis and the veldskoene, that's a clothing item relevant to the climate. They work with the land. They believe in things like rusks and biltong, which is, so decolonization as a concept is something that would help a lot. And it starts with these things of off-grid, going traditional, homeopathy and the likes. Not to say everything West is bad, but to say they don't solve all the problems. And sometimes the focus is too much on profit and not trying to actually help. And that becomes a problem.
I definitely agree.
Do I support? It's a tough one. I think I could argue for either or, depending on who you ask. Do I scrap jobs so that people are empowered? Do I empower people? I think we need a healthy mix. If you care about your people, whatever that may be, whether it's South Africans or white people or black people or the poor, they should always have a default of we can do for self at the worst case scenario.
I agree with you.
And then we choose to live a modern life. But if I'm broke, if I don't have money, if I can't get a job, I can still go plant a seed.
Yes.
I can still put up a mud house. And you're very right. It's crazy that poor black people have been conditioned to believe that a shack house is better.
It's better than a mud house.
A mud house is, for many reasons, much better. The argument should be how do we strengthen it? It's much healthier.
Yeah.
How do we strengthen it so that it's maybe not primitive and it's not blown over by the wind? Let's reinforce it, but let that be the base. And it's going to take German architects to come back with we've got this futuristic, eco-friendly and organic. And you're like, no, man, but those are mud huts that we used to make. Why must they tell us of things we know?
Have you been to, was it in where the Golden Gate is?
No, I don't think so.
So there is the Basotho Cultural Village. And it was so nice to see one of those traditional, and when you go on a proper tour, and I think as South Africans, it's quite sad that we look at it, the stuff that tourists do, and we think, it's Africans things. I was on that tour a few years back and learning how they designed the house. For example, the very low wall that's around, and then even going in, it's not just an opening, there's a bit of a step. And the reason why, I never understood why the sand is swept, but it's so you can see if there was a snake. So you can see the tracks. Sure. And there's just basic things that traditionally, and you would know with traditional medicine. I mean, for example, I know Mpepo is a contentious little herb, but Mpepo is really good for your chest. So amazingly enough, although there's spiritual uses for it, it's a very good thing to use for clearing your chest, etc. So I think that we really do, we would benefit to embrace a lot of the traditional stuff that has been around. But it's like you say, the idea of the primitive of a mud hut. But honestly, ask any architect, a mud hut is a lot better as a design solution than a shack. And it is very sad that our people will probably be a lot happier if our townships was a bunch of huts.
I want to find, is it Sharrett? He's currently lecturing post-grad architecture students at UJ. I just don't want to butcher people's names. Mark Sharrett. I almost said Mike. Mike Sharrett, hopefully going to be one of the revolutionary architects in the country. He believes, so we speak about apartheid spatial planning. He wants to integrate wild animals into how we structure so that elephants can move freely the way they used to. But
that's quite wild, though. I mean, in more ways than one.
So he was explaining one concept. I don't want to even try and copy it because I don't know. But there are environmental benefits to allowing certain wild animals to move a certain way, whether it affects the water or the land or disease or whatever, the way birds move. And the way sometimes we build takes away. It's like the story of if ever we got rid of the bees, the environment would collapse or the ecosystem. So there's probably arguments if you were to ever look at like a Joburg city to say there may have been animals that used to pass here and the fact that they don't might explain why certain things, etc.
Interesting.
But I remember us having a conversation around going back to mud huts when people are like, but mud huts are weak. Ant hills.
Okay.
How strong is an ant hill? And we speak about skyscrapers. Look at the size of an ant. Look at the size of an anthill. If we were to learn how to make anthills for humans and how strong anthills are if you try to hit them, that is meant to be the type of conversation we're having around architecture and not shacks, because shacks don't make sense.
No,
and
they don't.
They catch fire and all these weird things of which an anthill won't.
Yes.
And it's warm when it needs to be, and it's cool when it needs to be. But this is part of the decolonization and Sankofa, going back to the past to take tools that we need for today, is some of the stuff we should be discussing. Your mom's foundation, Mamelodi.
Yeah. So my mom started a charitable fund, is what it's called. But it's basically a non-profit organization in 1998 in Mamelodi West. They basically rent, I think, a school from the government. And it's been interesting watching her journey of trying to help people. And I remember, what was the one mama's name? The very first person they helped was this big mama. And she was feeding, I think she was feeding about 20 people every day. And she would just make pap and feed random people. And we basically helped to fix up her place and, get her yard a bit nicer and provide her with some extra food to feed people. And through this journey, as the years went past, my mom said that they tried so many things and they realized that the best is to start with the youth. obviously early childhood development, the ideal.
Oh, ECD.
But the big gap that they noticed is, and it's again with that cultural difference, being in a township is the basic thing. So you would know, I mean, and I think with Zulu culture it's different, but with Pedi, when you greet somebody, it's respectable to look down. So when you're going for a job interview, what is the last thing you do is avoid eye contact. Sure. And just teaching those basic skills, looking a person in the eye, shaking the hand, how to introduce yourself. And it's been wonderful through the years. They had quite a few young people excel. Many were offered scholarships, internships. And it's been very inspiring for me to see all of this. To her, it's meant a lot of meaning in her life. But I look at it and I think it's awesome, but it's a small scale.
Sure.
Maybe it changed the lives of 500 or 2,000 people.
That's a lot. You hope that there's a ripple effect, but trust. Shout out to your mom, man.
Yeah.
Youth development and feeding, mostly.
No, so they focused eventually on youth development.
Okay, no problem.
And skills development. But the big thing is basically to get kids the year after school, get them job ready, teach them about personalities. So they do personality analysis, go visit businesses, see how companies operate, and so on. But
for you, it was too small.
It's too
You're
small.
Like, no, I need bigger reach.
Yes. Like, how do you change the lives of many people, not just that community?
Sure.
And one thing I saw, there's this little project that I was busy with during COVID. I was sending like 250 Rand, being the white savior, sending some money to people that battled. And before I knew it, all my money was up, and there were people that gave me money. And it's now sweet. I felt good about myself, but I realized it's not a solution.
It's not sustainable.
No. Some of the people that I gave money to, and it was lovely. I sent people money, and they send me a picture. There's the pup they bought, and to show that they actually used that money for food. But how long does that feed them?
Then they have to come back.
Yeah. Our people need jobs. We need the economy to grow. Our people need jobs. If we can get them to grow their own food, wonderful, because at least they don't sleep hungry. And the thing that I've only recently become very worried about, that we spoke about earlier, is water. People need water. And without water, you can't sustain life. You can't sustain civilization. So we're in a tough position in Gauteng. The water system is facing collapse if nothing's done. It will happen if nothing's done. And the country, it will be a massive stuff up. So
do you think it's not too late? Honestly speaking,
it's not too late.
There's no money. And to what you're saying, definitely the pipeline
if
all needs to be replaced.
If nothing, not all of it. So the Pretoria is going to take a bit longer.
Yeah.
So Johannesburg is fed from the Vaal. We get water all the way from the beautiful Lesotho Highlands.
Beautiful.
That I really want to visit one day. And then from the Vaal, it's pumped up. But what is happening is so your bulk water supply, if the chamber that's supplying the water, so many of them are 60 years old, they eventually get cracks and those type of things. So it seeps into the earth.
Sure.
It doesn't do what it has to do. And then following a very interesting conversation I had this weekend with a planner, if you have that situation, because now you've got, let's say it was a 60 or 100 year planning, because we now, a lot of the pipelines are at 60 years. You send in something that reinforces the pipes. You don't have to put a new pipe. You just,
sure.
You have to spend the money and fix the pipes. But because we've had the massive stress on our infrastructure, so going from a system that was supposed to have a 6-year lifespan, it now has a 35-year lifespan, because you have buildings in the CBD that's supposed to only be 500 people is now 2,000 people. That water needs to be supplied to those people, and then you've got the sewage. The
Some
sewage
people are
obviously
illegally connected to water.
Yes.
People don't know about that.
Yeah.
We know about electricity. Some people are illegally connected to water.
And I'm very scared to make people panic, but we really have. There's a reason why Helen is campaigning on water, because that is the biggest problem that faces Gauteng and essentially the country. Because if the water system collapses in Gauteng, people will flee from this place because there will be no water apart from those that have boreholes. And if everybody has boreholes, there'll be no water left because everybody will be drilling the groundwater out. So that's also not a solution. So the government must spend money very, very fast. I do understand, following conversations that I had with people from Josie My Josie on Friday, that there are plans in place, but we on a knife edge, and it doesn't help that we still have illegal immigrants flocking into the country.
You'd think this is avoidable. I asked this because even when Eskom started going to the dogs, there were power stations being built, Midupi, Gusile, and then the budgets went haywire from people looting and being incompetent. So maybe even if we got the money, I mean, Cyril's going around busy loaning from everyone, and the work were to maybe start, do you not think it's not going to happen the way we want, and there's going to be a lot of looting, and where work is meant to be done, it's not going to happen, which means it's almost inevitable that it will collapse?
I don't want to think of that.
We'll all move to Lesotho.
I haven't dug my borehole yet. So.
We'll all move to Lesotho and get lacquer water from there.
No, it's a very imminent danger.
Thanks to your mom, man. But you want to get involved. You want to get your hands dirty in politics so that you can have a greater reach and impact. Are you ready?
Can one ever be ready?
You're hoping to use Action SA as a vehicle into service?
I think so. I think they are the best mobilizers at the moment.
Have you considered anyone else? Rise Mzansi, Bosa,
Gift
of the Givers, and NPO somewhere?
Somebody from Rise Mzansi before, but there's some serious policy things that I'm conflicted with them.
Sure.
But I was very impressed with the person that I met. I think it's like third in charge or something. Very, very impressive people.
Bosa Musi.
I like Musi. I like Musi very much. But I think we need a stronger personality. Not a benevolent dictator, but as close as we can get.
Sure.
Because if you are too nice, sometimes you get nothing done. We need somebody that is very decisive.
Okay.
So what I like about Action SA is that they have selected people who want to fix things.
Who want to work. Operations people. Shout out to Dr. Nasipi Moya.
Yes.
In Tshwane. She's
my favorite
brilliant.
Mayor.
Sure. I think she's everyone's favorite right now. Anyone who's hating on her is probably in the DA.
Yeah.
It's probably in the DA and is sour but she's, at least from what we're seeing, she looks like she's really cracking the whip.
I've met a few people now from Action SA and I was very impressed. The only reason I think I would be reluctant is I've got a bit of a activist type of personality and I tend to be volatile at times.
Sure.
So I might be not necessarily good for them, for their reputation, because...
It sounds like Mandi Samashiko. She used to be with the EFF, but she's such an activist, she eventually left.
Oh, okay.
Because she's like, we need to fix this thing, and I don't have time for the politics.
And I mean, you've come across me on X. I can be quite nasty at times.
Come across, blocked you, unblocked, you blocked me,
How many times
unblocked.
have you blocked me?
I think twice. I'm not a bad guy.
Yeah, I've blocked you twice as well.
Would you consider an idea, because you've spoken about the DA, would you consider an idea of potentially joining the ANC like some people and trying to fix it?
That is something I've considered. I was an ANC voter for a long time.
Okay. A lot of progressive South Africans were for a long time. Yeah.
But with Zuma's second term, then I decided no.
Sure.
I can't anymore. I think something I've learned, which is interesting, I was listening to Dr. Moya's interview with, it was also on SNWX back in the day. And she mentioned something that's very valid, which is a mistake that I made So I know we're going quite long today.
I
Mistake
apologize
that I
if
made
it's too long for you. I'm chilled.
is that when it comes to local government, then ideology is irrelevant. If you have a councillor or MMC that's from the EFF, but he's cleaning the roads, and I think it is actually in Tshwane, it's the EFF MMC that's, I think, in the cleaning, whatever.
Sure.
If they're doing the job, because people need service delivery, why does it matter what party they're from? Because
That's
it doesn't
what local
affect
government is about, not
Yes.
ideology. Just
Exactly.
getting the work done.
And I had to myself get past this thing of hating EFF people. I might disagree ideologically, but one gets stuck with this idea of communism in your head. And when you engage with people on the opposite, whatever political spectrum it is, and you realize we all want the same thing, can we just focus on that for now? What happens nationally is a different story. And 2029, we'll see what's going to happen. But in the meantime, I want to see who's the people who's prepared to work with everybody. And to me, Action SA is that. They're prepared to work with whoever wants to work with them. They're not the bully on the playground.
Sure.
So,
Olivia Grange. We can shut it down?
yeah.
Cheers. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I hope you can keep this energy up. It's tough in this country because there are so many forces that are countering just fixing basic things. But I look forward to seeing any of the work you do, whether it's with Action or anyone else, because I think your heart is in the right place. I think you've had the right type of exposure. And from the little bit that you've shared with us, it sounds like your mom has been a decent role model. Your parents getting into multicultural churches at a young age, and you being open to traveling and meeting people from everywhere around the world and trying to find best practice, believing in empowerment, wanting to fix things so things can work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was good.
Hey.
I was nervous, but it's fine.